Hey, what's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the Barlo Zone, home of the one and only Demon Hunter King Kaido, himself sent to Azeroth. How's everybody doing today? I hope the weather's been as nice for y'all as it's been where I'm at. It's been cold at night, but man, I went out for a walk. Had to go talk to that manager, see about the job, see if they came to any conclusions or whatever. I was out walking for about an hour. Boy, I was mad I wore this hoodie. Like, I was busting a super sweat by the time I got home. That blew my mind. Like, aren't we supposed to be in winter or just about in winter? Anyway, how's everybody doing today? I got what I'm hoping is a fun one to go over, because we got this 2 week break, right? At least 2 weeks. I only say at least because there's always a chance that Shueisha or Oda decided, hey, let's do one more. Just give Oda that chance to keep his health as under control as he can, which I'd like to believe as a community we're all hoping for, right? Because I don't know, man. I'm not going to read the end of this story if Oda doesn't write it. Like, that's just what it is. This is Oda's story. Anyway, the fun I wanted to have today was to talk about a few theories, right? Like, you guys are pretty used to me stopping in every 2 to 4 days. I had that one bad week where I only did the one video, but you guys are pretty used to me stopping in with a fresh idea, a fresh thought, something to think about, right? And I was thinking about it, tossed around the idea of doing another top 10. I had decent amount of fun with that. I don't know. Unless you guys give me a good idea for a top 10 to do, I'm probably not, at least not anytime soon. I don't have any good ideas for that right now. But I still wanted to try to come with something that can give us enough to talk about over 2 weeks, right? So what I would like to do today is present a few theories, like I said. A few, I don't know, I guess five does technically count as a few. I think, I don't know, man. Once you get past 3, numbers start getting confusing with groups, to me. But because I'm going to be talking about 5 different theories, what I'm going to do here to start this video is I'm going to take a quick moment, super brief synopsis of each of the theories. Just so I have somewhere to put a timestamp here for you guys in case there's a specific theory you'd like to hear about without hearing about all of them, And the reason I got to do it like this is I haven't figured out how to do the, chop it up where, you got I think they call it chapters. I haven't quite figured out how to do that. I don't know if it's on my editing app or something I need to do through YouTube. But for the first one, I've got a theory pertaining almost exclusively to Dragon. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp, although that will be the first one. The second one is a theory surrounding Sabo and Kobe, and that'll be starting at about this time. Now, this one is going to be more explaining why I haven't presented my theory about who is the main character of One Piece. Now, I know Luffy is. I know that. But I had this wild idea, and it kind of didn't go anywhere. But I still want to present it-ish to see if anybody else has anything about it. The third one is going to be a theory about Laugh Tale. That one will begin at about this timestamp. Now, that theory I have gone over before. I want to talk about some of my favorite theories, right? The fourth theory I briefly touched on in my last video. That will begin at this timestamp, and that is going to be talking about Zebek. And then, I always love to have a big theory that I've actually put some serious time and thought into. So the big theory for this video will begin at this timestamp, and it is going to be related to how Dragon and Garp are getting off of God Valley. So, as I said, if you don't want to listen to all the theories, you just want to mess with one, feel free, jump ahead. I will see you then. But let's go ahead and dive into it. The theory about Dragon. And I just want to say real quick, I did predict this part with now it never became a full dragon theory within this flashback, but the flashback hit bedrock when we introduced Dragon as a main character in the flashback. And I called that. I knew bedrock would be Dragon. I was just anticipating a little bit more specifically about Dragon, right? So I'm still holding to that theory. I am still 100% convinced we are going to get a Dragon flashback before the end of this story. Because Dragon seems to be having this increased importance, right? Like on God Valley, we've gotten a lot of focus on Dragon. Now, he hasn't been the prime focus. I would 100% say that has been Zebek so far. And then you got Roger and Gart pulling up behind him with some of the bigger stuff, and then the Rocks crew behind them, and then, you know, Dragon down there scraping for scraps in the flashback. But he has had character development. And as I keep putting it, Dragon has had the biggest glow up on God Valley. But aside from his increased importance, Dragon is also the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and the RA is a major piece on this board game that's being played in the story of One Piece. And then a little sub-theory within this theory that kind of feeds into the idea that we will get a Dragon flashback is that I am convinced Dragon and Shanks have met since God Valley. Now, this one's a little obscure to try to elaborate on, right? But I guess the best way I could put it is if Dragon hadn't met Shanks yet, right? If Dragon has not met Shanks again, or at least corresponded with him through a Den Den Mushi or sending messages on the news coup, perhaps, why hasn't Dragon said anything yet about being curious about this red-haired pirate that looks like a grown-up version of a baby he thought was dead or had been returned to the world government? So just because Shanks, like, his role in the story is so universal, everybody on the planet knows about red-haired Shanks and his just not unstoppable crew, right? Like, fool's always in the paper. Dude has done crazy stuff nonstop. Because of Shanks' status in the story of One Piece, the fact Dragon has never commented about wanting to make contact with this pirate somehow seems to indicate they have met. I would venture a guess perhaps around the time Shanks was making a come up of his own as a pirate. But now I'm not going to go too much into this right now because it kind of feeds into the big theory. But it's even possible that Dragon himself had a connection with the Roger Pirates, and through the Roger Pirates discovered that, oh, I was able to somehow save one of the babies, just to take a small win years after the fact, right? Moving on though to the second little theory, I was researching this theory about, you know, who the main character of One Piece is because of Journey to the West. Now in Journey to the West, as some of you may know, Sun Wukong plays probably the most pivotal role throughout the story, but he's a side character. Like the story of Journey to the West is not about Sun Wukong. It is about a monk named, oh, I am so gonna butcher this, so I'm gonna put the spelling up here. But a Chinese monk named Xuanzang. I am so sorry if I just absolutely obliterated that enunciation. But the theory is that either Sabo or Kobe are playing the role of Xuanzang in the story of One Piece, in the sense that they will be the leader of the new era that Luffy ushers in at the end of the final war. Real quick, I do want to just point out, I think it is more likely that Kobe is playing this part because of his more I don't want to say pacifist. Dude has definitely been in some big scrapes, but he doesn't ever seem to want that to be even the last option. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the third theory. And this is one that I have done an actual video about before, but I just want to reiterate it here and reassert that I still 100% believe in this video because, and I'm going to go ahead and call him out. You know, Liam just dropped a video. I saw it this morning as I was making my notes about Laughtail being in space. I do not agree. Liam, come at me if you want, bro. Like, I would love to have this debate with you, friend. But I am convinced that Laughtail is on the Cloud Sea. A few hints really have led me in this direction to the point in the story so far. One is the arc that we're currently in is Elbaf, and with how tall Elbaf is as an island, being the world tree or the atom tree, right? It is without a doubt connected to the Cloud Sea. I believe we even already got confirmation that the Heaven Realm is connected to the Cloud Sea. Aside from that, I want to talk about Lodestar again real quick because as Harold put it, Lodestar is the way that giants always managed to find their way back to Elbaf before log poses were introduced and used as the primary navigation tool. Now, why would that be interesting? And that's because the Cloud Sea exists. It is impossible to guarantee at any point in time you will be able to see the stars because of how the Cloud Sea works. So, the fact the Cloud Sea exists and yet the giants still use, what do they call it? The star navigation. Hold on. Star navigation, you know, on the stars they couldn't always see to find their way home. Meaning, I find it more likely that Lodestar is an island on the Cloud Sea very adjacent to Elbaf. And the final point, you know, being the background of Roger's flashback on Laughtail. It wasn't black. Space would be black. It's a void. It's a vacuum. There's no color. But the Cloud Sea would be white. Clouds are white. They're all over. They're all around. And, you know, I've been doing, I don't know if you guys noticed, I've been doing this little 3 points per theory thing just to try and plant the seed, right? Allow room for people to throw rebuttals at me. Allow y'all to voice your opinions on these subjects. I got a bonus little 4th point on this Laughtail on the Cloud Sea topic. A white background doesn't seem like it would be fun to read, right? You know, even if the battle's really, really enticing to watch. Except for the fact, dude, we got the RA, we got the world government, and we got a plethora of pirate factions that are all going to be active in this war. Oda has set himself up brilliantly to have characters having fights in the background of whatever fight or dialogue he wants attention on at that moment. I'm gonna move on. I don't want to spend too much time on a theory I've already presented in full. The next one, as I mentioned, I did kind of allude to this one in my last video, and that's my theory that during this Harold flashback, because the flashback is supposed to be about the death of Harold, right? So I am still calling everything that has happened in this flashback the Harold flashback. In this Harold flashback, Zebek has had the Yami Yami no Mi the entire time. A couple points to get at are, as I pointed out in that last video, the connection of mass all of a sudden with these attacks leans into the idea of a black hole. In, as I pointed out, the fact that a black hole is one of, real quick, I don't know if a pulsar or a black hole is heavier, but a black hole is one of, if not the heaviest thing known to man. So you put the mass of a black hole behind a sword swing, as I said in my last video, it is going to make that sword swing look and feel like the Giants described it, as something beyond anything even they had faced. Dude has incredible swing, and the force behind his attacks is incomparable. I'm just saying, I know we haven't seen him use it like Teach, but not everybody has to use a devil fruit in the same way. You know what? It's possible just his sword has the devil fruit, I suppose. I hadn't considered that till this moment, so y'all saw that live. Couple more points on this one. It's curious that Teach also specifically went after the Quake fruit, right? Like, now Zebek didn't target Newgate to take his power from him. He just recruited the man himself, right? Teach didn't have that option. He had already betrayed Newgate. And, you know, by whatever time he may have realized, oh, I need my old captain's power on my side as well, he had also realized there's no way Whitebeard is going to align with me at this point. So he did what he had to do. And it's just curious that both father and son found it necessary to have the power of the Quake fruit on their side. Final point right here. This is, again, kind of a sub-theory within a theory. I'm finding myself wondering if the Yami no Mi is connected to the Davy clan, and the Hito no Mi Madonika is connected to the Joy Boy clan. Not the Monkey D clan, the Joy Boy clan. Whatever clan Joy Boy was the progenitor of, right? Because as far as I mean, it could be a misnomer, right? Like, I guess his name could be Joy Space Boy. It could be the Boy Clan. I don't know. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The Boy Clan. Like, Nika is playful and loves to laugh. Like, the Boy Clan makes sense. I ain't gonna lie. But I mean, that's not part of the theory. That part is just that the Yami is connected to the Davy and the Nika is connected to the Joy Boy. Anyway, I would like to go ahead and move on into the big theory, because this is one I've been seeing all kinds of wild comments about how it plays out, right? Like, the wildest comment I've seen about how Garp is getting off this island is somebody straight up said Garp could swim off the island. Like, my friend, you haven't been reading. Roger and Garp both confirmed that the attack that they did against Zebek was going to put them out of commission. Homeboy Garp can't even stand on his own feet, let alone swim off this island. As I pointed out, though, under normal circumstances, yes, I agree. Garp would 100% be able to just swim away from God Valley. Be like, nope, okay, my ship's gone. I'm got to get somewhere, get a new ship, get back to base, and chastise my crew for ditching me. Damn you, Bogart. I wanted to say braggart for some reason. That was weird. Anyway, I feel like there's no chance Garp is swimming away from God Valley. But anyway, I think I have actually come up with how events play out to get Dragon and Garp off the island, and this is going to be the big presentation theory. I am saying that it is going to start, as I pointed out in the last chapter, we had, for some reason, Rayleigh and Gabon run back into the thick of things, right? Even though we already know, Oda's already told us that Roger and Garp are the ones that took down Zebek on God Valley. So unless a big retcon's coming in and Rayleigh and Gabon are about to square up with somebody that took out their captain, I don't think that's likely. Anyway, since we have these players in play, right, we have to consider them in what's going on. And I think what is most likely is Gabon and Rayleigh show up at the site of the clash between Garp and Rogers and Zebek, right? And they see, oh, that one looks like he's cooked, but that's our captain. Isn't that Marine that's always hassling us? Ooh, they both look like they're cooked. You know what? Hey, Rayleigh, why don't you get the captain back to the ship? I'm going to go ahead and get Garp. And Rayleigh, dude, that's a suicide mission. The island is surrounded by Marines. Gabon's like, I'm not going to the Marines. I'm just going to take his body close enough that they should be able to find him. Boom. Gabon picks up Garp. And real quick, let's talk about that flex, because, you know, Garp, we're talking about a mountain of a man. You know, Gabon goes sling him over the shoulder and get to hoofing it, right? No, I'm out. Gabon runs into Dragon. Now, why the last time we saw Dragon, he was on a ship. Why would Dragon be back on the island? And I think the clue lies in what Dragon was saying when we saw him on that ship. Dude had his commanding officer on his back, rifle in the face, talking about, do you condone this? Do you know that this was going to happen? Dragon is going to want those answers from his dad. Keep in mind, Dragon saw Garp on this island, but Garp did not see Dragon. I didn't understand why that was a thing until right now. Because Dragon's seeing all this, right? Dragon is understanding that the organization he's working for is evil. And he's like, okay, I got all the survivors onto the ship. I'm out. I got to go find my dad. Like, hey, has anybody seen my dad? Anybody seen Vice Admiral Garp? Looking around. Everybody, oh, no, we haven't seen him in a while. I thought I saw him fighting somebody over there. And Dragon's going to be like, okay, boom, dip out, right? I got to go find my dad. I got to find out if he knew this was going to happen. The one person that Dragon is going to want these answers from for sure is going to be Garp. But, let's see. All right. Dragon's out and about, right? Running around. He runs into, that's what I was skipping over. My apologies. I knew I was skipping over something. While Dragon's out, right? Like, he took off. He got to go find his dad. He got to go interrogate the man himself. Saturn is going to do the only thing Saturn does right in this story. Order the escapees to be sunk. Because what has been Dragon's arc throughout this flashback so far? It's failure. I believe I've pointed that out in a video before. Dragon, this entire arc has just been failure after failure after failure. Save for saving Kuma, which had to be done. There was no way for Oda to get around the fact that he had already established this. But other than that, everything new about Dragon has been a failure so far. So, these survivors, while he's taken off, he thinks they're ready to go, they're going to get to safety, are going to be sunk. Now, while Dragon's out and about, right, looking for his dad, he's going to run into Gabon. Like, boom, hey, is that my dad on your shoulder? Whew, square up, fool. And Gabon's going to be like, whoa, timeout, recruit. I could pack you in 2.5 seconds if I really felt like it. I just wanted to get him over here because he helped my captain. Boom. Maybe he throws down Garp. Honestly, I had to consider for a moment the fact that Dragon is only 17 years old, right? He might not have the mental capacity to understand to keep his relationship with Garp a secret. He might even accidentally, seeing Garp conked out, looking tore up, being carried by a pirate, he might even start with, "What did you do to my dad?" Like, just saying. So the relationship between Garp and Dragon might become clear, at least to Gabon, when Gabon and Dragon run into each other. But there's one other factor at play here that I haven't quite touched on, and that's the God's Knights. So, at this point, and everything that's going on God Valley, right? At this point, it is entirely reasonable to believe that Garling would have identified that St. Maffey's Satchel had only come back with one of 2 babies. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Maffey might have been cooked in that moment. Like, failure does not seem to be tolerated in the God's Knights. When she shows up with one baby, Garling might take that baby and then do the same thing to her that he did to his baby mama. Which will also explain why it's Summers that shows up hunting down Dragon, right? Which, because Gabon is now here, is going to give us that Gabon versus Summers fight and an explanation of why Summers was an absolute horror, just crapped his pants, shitting himself, shit the bed and everything. He shit the bed and then it hit the fan and came back on him. Like, we will get the explanation and the fight to show us why Summers was scared of Gabon, right? But now we got to think, Dragon has Garp, right? But the ship he commandeered has been sunk. Where does he go? How is he getting off the island? This is the part that I think is really cool, and honestly the part where I see most people falling off this theory bandwagon. The Roger Pirates. Now, let that one sink in for just a hot second, because I know at first everybody's going to be out, oh, Dragon's a Marine, he would never team up with the pirates. I mean, his dad's already shown that the Monkey Clan is willing to do what needs to be done to do right? Like, I mean, teaming up with Roger. B, Roger respects Garp. Roger would not want to allow his crew to just leave Garp on this island to die. So even if Roger was awake or conscious, maybe by the time Dragon and Garp get back to the Aura Jackson, right? The ship doctor, Crocus. Damn, I almost forgot Crocus's name. And we're about to meet him in the live action. Crocus might already have Roger back up on his feet, or at least conscious, right? So Roger can be all, no, go ahead, let them on board. We'll just drop them off on an island a couple down. No, it's non-government affiliated. We'll have time to get away before Garp can call him back up. Which, unknown to Roger, is also going to work out for Dragon, because he is now a traitor. The world government is going to want his head, right? So dropping Garp and Dragon off on a non-government affiliated island makes perfect sense. And honestly, which one? Let's see if I'm remembering right. God Valley's in the West Blue. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe Amazon Lily is in the Calm Belt that's connected to the West Blue. I might be wrong. It might be the North Blue. But, Amazon Lily would be relative to the location of God Valley. So, and why do I bring up Amazon Lily, right? Well, Garp and Dragon wouldn't be the only stowaways, because Gloriosa decided to add herself to this ship at the last second to get off the island because her crew had disbanded. So, and that one I find interesting because we know Gloriosa ends up back on Amazon Lily after she saves the Gorgon sisters, right? Boa and her sisters. Now, that is still like 2 decades away, something like that, 2 decades away from the events of God Valley? Ish? Okay. I'm gonna have to look into that one. But anyway, that's not relevant to this part of the theory, because this part is basically Dragon and Garp getting off of God Valley is what sets up Garp being able to stay in the Marines in a position of power, right? He survived the fight with Zebek, and some of these surviving Marines know that. He is the hero of the Marines. He saved the Marines from this demon that wanted their heads. Dragon has time to safely get away from the world government. And if he's in relation to Amazon Lily, like location-wise, that also allows a natural setup between Dragon and Tritoma. Because, a lot of people, myself included, really like this theory that Tritoma is Luffy's mom. I know, we're all basing it on one panel, so laugh in our faces if you want. I myself can take it. But anyway, this is, just some fun I wanted to do, some food for thought, hopefully for a couple of weeks for everybody. As always, friends, I would love to know what you guys think about any of these thoughts. Feel free to timestamp me in the comments so I know which theory you are wanting to talk about. And we'll have that discussion in the comments. If a YouTube comment isn't enough, feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. Barlo be theorizing on X and Tumblr, and feel free to join the Barlo Zone Discord community. Links to all three will be in the comments below. I appreciate y'all giving me a few minutes of your time. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Much love, friends.